It is definitely a growth driver for the United States, and it's making it so that when you are looking to do business around the world, the United States doesn't get disadvantaged by having a much higher tax rate. So global companies look to come to the United States, or the U.S. companies don't have to necessarily do unnatural things to take their business outside the United States, because they now can kind of live in a tax policy world that's pretty, I would say, even across most of the developed markets.
There are going to be a lot of flows into the United States, and I think this has been an underestimated to forgotten aspect of the tax reform. Certainly, as you listen to the U.S. commentators, that there are companies all around the world who are looking at the U.S. now and saying, this is the place to be in the developed world. I go to places where people in non-U.S. companies say, geez, we're going to increase our employment there. We're going to move more things there. Why? Because we're going to be able to sell more things, and it's a much more hospitable environment than it used to be. That aspect of things can be a real supplement to what regular economists think is going to happen. Leave aside bringing cash back and those types of things that people talk about. Non-U.S. people view this as really a very, very big deal. Look at what China did. Like I guess it was a week or two after the tax reform was passed, they made certain types of activities from U.S. companies tax-free in China, so that if they wouldn't bring the money back to the U.S., that's a major country speaking very quickly. And European governments are talking about this. And, we really have a wonderful thing that was created here that's been kept virtually a total secret from economists and the media. I think we're going to find a very positive surprise. I'm saying I expect this to happen because when people start talking openly in a casual way about that in many different venues where I am, not conferences, but like real places, and where you're sitting with people, and they say we're gonna do more things in the United States now. This is unprompted. I'm not asking them. I'm not an interviewer.
It's a great point.
I'd like to second that very much. I mean, certainly as a bank, we see it. In the dialogue we have with CEOs, we've absolutely seen a step up in the interest. We just announced last week something we advised on, which is Ferrero bought the chocolate business of Nestle, the US chocolate business of Nestle, $2.8 billion, and there's a whole pipeline of similar transactions building. So to your point, Steve, it's not just in the real world, that's really happening. We can see a lot of evidence of it. The tax reform in the US has been exactly what we needed, something in the real economy, fundamental to happen at this point in time to give a new impetus to world growth. So I do believe that the positive impacts of that are underestimated today.
Let me jump in there here, because these tax reform, it's probably more positive for the world than but these measures have limited short-term impact. I think government should look like companies have to do in the fundamentals. So it's about infrastructure of the country. It's about education of the people in the country. It's about free trade. It's about a balanced budget. We can't burn the money for the future. So if a tax reform leads to higher budget deficits, it might be good for the next 12 months, but there will be a bill later on. And then you have to balance that again. I'm looking for fundamentals. What the world needs, every country needs, is productivity gains. If you don't increase productivity, you will never be successful on the long run. And productivity comes from better education of the people, better infrastructure, competitive pressure, that means open borders, and that's the recipe. And you see that in Singapore. Singapore has nothing. They were in the muds 50 years ago. What they have done, they invested in infrastructure, they invested in education. They are the most open market, except Netherlands, in the world. And the success is there. And that's the recipe for success. And all these short-term orientation, let's reduce tax rates, and this is, you can't reduce tax rate if you have huge deficits. Bring your balance first back to, the budget back to the balance, and then you can think about tax reductions. That's my belief, because you need the money to invest in education, in infrastructure, in the competitiveness of the country. That's my belief. So the tax reform in the US will be good short term because it creates, more, purchase power and whatsoever, but it doesn't fix the fundamental problem.